Hey there, listener. Fancy seeing you here. Look, sometimes due to the things we discuss on the pod, it might contain potentially triggering content. But the good news is you can always review the episode description for a full list of the warnings applicable to this episode. Oh, and just so you know, this episode is rated R for really filthy. It includes adult themes and explicit content, so if you're an adult, buckle up, gird your loins, and prepare to flood the basement, because we are going down with these ships. But I think we are at least going to have to mention Cursed Child. So we should maybe do like a fun disclaimer at the start to be like, we're just going to have to do an extra disclaimer that this features something potentially like triggering to everyone,
which is
Cursed Child. Cursed Child. We don't really want to talk about it, but it's Cursed Child. It's Cursed Child. If I don't move my lips, it's not real. That just isn't going to do.
You're on the cannon ground, I'm up in crack ship space. Let's start a shipping war, don't care if I get hate. Don't like my pairings, well then you can hit the bricks. This is my OTP, I'll go down with this ship.
We're back again with Care of Magical Shippers with Megs
and Nathan. And you might be saying to yourself, but I've just listened to 4 episodes back to back. To me, you've never left. And we're so glad that you did that thing, because it means that we've been doing a good job. But do you know what? I'm excited about the fact that if you are here and listening to this, it means you found your way to our bonus content, which we're so excited to bring you. We get to do bonus content now. This is a thing. This is prestige, premium, like utter goof that we're
But we're really excited. I'm really excited about this. I am ready to what is it? I guess like trope. What's the way to say it? We're battle of the trope. I guess like I don't even know.
Yeah, it's really so like normally when we discuss a trope or a fic, so far it's been that we more or less both have the same opinion about it. We broadly agree, even if we have like differences of opinion about specifics. But with this trope, one of the reasons we couldn't wait to talk about it with you is that we have wildly different opinions about why this works, why it doesn't work. And I suppose with that, we should just get into it.
Yeah, so we're talking about time travel. I don't think we said what it is. It's probably in the episode title, but just so you know, we're doing time travel.
We will at some point go back in time and edit the beginning of this to make it seem seamless. It's fine.
Yes. It's fine. This we have the power. So
yeah. You never need to know how many mistakes we make. And the fact that we include so many of them with you is just that we want to be honest with you. This is us being genuine with you as human beings. And we hope that you appreciate our innate fallibility as well as our awesome podcasty, godly loftiness. Podcastness. We do podcastness well. In fact, I'm coining the term podcastness, and that is what that's what we do. That's what we give off. We radiate that aura, right?
Podcastness.
Podcastness. Hashtag podcastness. Hashtag ASMR.
Oh, God.
I have no idea why I'm whispering. Like, listeners, if you want me to do ASMR for you, I'll do that. Like, get in touch with me. I can do ASMR. Harry stroked Draco's thigh seductively.
Ooh, oh God! I have chills. Oh boy.
Okay, so time travel.
Time travel.
We have a subject to discuss with you, and it's a big one because it's canon. We see it in book 3 is where we're first introduced to it. And then, unfortunately, we also see it in other places as well, which we don't necessarily want to talk to you about them, but we've sort of got to mention them. We have to mention the cursed elephant in the room
Yeah.
that is that is Cursed Child. I mean, it uses time travel, so we're gonna have to go there. Don't worry, we won't linger. It's not we're not gonna rub salt in the wound by making you relive all the moments of Cursed Child. We just need to mention that it exists, and then we can move on.
Yep, it's a thing. Time travel's there. But yeah, as you know, and I think I've probably mentioned in previous episodes because I'm obsessed with it, I love time travel as a trope in fic, just because I love the like cross-gen sort of stuff. Like especially, obviously, like I'm a Snary fan.
Yeah.
We had
you are.
I am so hardcore Snary. And
You're
then,
not just a Snarry fan. You're like a Snarry diehard. Like everything else about fandom could fall away, and you'd be like, "But I'm holding on to Snarry as if it's mine. Snarry is mine. Nobody else can have it." Yeah.
And then we have Tamari, which of course we discovered we were just lost our minds with. But I love the going back to see how things were, especially with the Marauders era. Not just for that, but just to see how things were for the characters we know as adults. And that is just fascinating to see. We only get tastes of it, like Snape's memory or things that the Marauders, like Remus and Sirius, tell us that we can pull from it. But to go back and build their personalities as youth is really fun. And that gives a lot of, a lot of headcanon that we see in a lot of those fic are relatively similar. I mean, most people that are reading time travel and are writing it are exposed to a lot of it. So it's easy to kind of get the same personalities and headcanon for the Marauders. The people that really love the Marauders really have the way that they see them. Wolfstar is obviously a big thing that we see a lot of, so there's a lot of passion around the Marauders. And for whatever reasons, be it Harry going back in time to change something, like with, Voldemort or whatever, and unfortunately that's kind of sort of what Cursed Child is trying to do, which kind of doesn't make any sense. But I love the potential to interact with characters of obviously also romantically, so that we have the same age thing too, because of course a lot of people like Harry Mort and Snary as a professor versus him being young and Harry going back and them being the same age. It gives that opportunity to be a little less cursed.
Exactly, and they don't have to be. You can remove both the curse and the child from the elements, because you can age them both up to be adults, and then it becomes potentially a lot more wholesome. If not, in the case of Snarry, you still always get the fraught emotions and the tension, but I know you love that. Yeah. So
yes, yes,
whatever guise that comes in.
Yeah, I just it's always fun to see how they bring it into like how it happens, especially like if it's post-war and something needs to be changed. Supposedly all the time turners have been destroyed, like in the whatever the battle at the Ministry in book 5. So if people either are like, oh, here was the one that wasn't destroyed, or someone had protected, or some secret thing in a vault, or finding a way to use divination like Pansy did in the Tamari fic. Like, it's interesting to see how people make it work. And then we also get into whether it's a closed loop or a broken loop. Like if going back is affecting something that already happened and exists, or if going back changes what did happen, or if what going back and changes is for an alternative timeline. So there's multiple ways. Mostly what I write in well, I don't know. I guess never mind. I have to think about how I write it. The way I write it, I think, is kind of the closed loop thing. But most of the time when you read it, especially with changing the past, be it whatever character is trying to go back and make things different, obviously that is with the goal of either in their timeline or in an alternate timeline making a better future versus planning to go back and then whatever they did is just what ended up affecting what the trajectory was for the future. So I think I don't know. I mean, it's either go back to use it for romance or for fix-its or yeah, I don't know.
But let's be real, though. In the case of fanfic, it's mostly to go back for romance, which
100%.
And the reason, see, I don't like time travel mostly as a trope, and the reason I don't like time travel as a trope is because it was introduced in canon, and because we see it in book 3, people have. Obviously, they've just seen the potential for what can happen, and they're like, I want these characters to get together, and then the time travel just sort of happens. Like they like it's the means to an end. It's the Deus Ex Machina thing of like, we need time travel to happen for this, so I'm just gonna invent a time turner, or Buckbeak's gonna develop some psychokinetic power that we're, and I feel like, while that's creative and while it's, it's showing flair, it's not necessarily like, because a lot of the believability of the universe comes from it running in parallel with the lives we have, with stuff that's going on in our real lives that you can sort of get on board with because, you get all of the human emotion and so. And I feel like whenever you bring time travel into something for any extended length of time, you inherently remove a layer of believability from what's going on in the fic. So even if you get a really wholesome pairing out of it, and the ends are great, it doesn't always justify the means, in my opinion, because it's just like. Because you could have done that without time travel at all. You could have just said, I'm going to create an OG character, or you could have investigated, like, say you want to talk about Snape in the 70s, you can just use characters from that time. We don't have to see Harry going back to Snape. But of course,
But we do, though.
Do we? This is where we're going to argue, because I'm like, I'm all for expansion of the universe, but then if you want to expand the limits of the universe so much that you're introducing time travel, you may as well introduce some new characters as well,
No, that's true. I mean, but then, so if you like is it more just get to know that time period then? Like, what would those fics look like if you're just expanding on? Is it just kind of like a general, like, this is that time and you're getting to know other characters and characters we know and how they interact when they were at that age? So I guess just kind of what we think canon would be the Marauders era, like if it was focused on that.
Right, yes, you can do that. But then I also read a really interesting, I thought it was an interesting article the other day that said that in a way, when we remember something, we're actually time traveling, because you're in the moment, but you're remembering something that already happened to you. So I feel like in fic, you could get away with it by being literally in someone's memory, like maybe in a pensieve and play that out.
Yes.
Or, there are other things you can do. You don't just have to be like, Harry stumbled on a TARDIS and now he's a Time Lord.
Yes.
Much as because crack fic is incredible and I love it to bits, and the crazier it gets, the happier I am, because anybody that knows me will know that I am a complete goofball. So it does satisfy that part of my psyche. But then I'm also like, okay, I've sacrificed my ability to be completely sold about what this fic is as well. So I've sort of lost something. I lose an element of believability when I read crack fic that I wouldn't otherwise. So yeah, time travel is just one of those things for me where if it's like on the rare occasions where it's closed loop time travel that's actually something really specific, I love it because I'm like, this is really well thought out, and it's like it only influences a tiny thing, but the whole story revolves around that plot point, where it's not just like, okay, I want to go back in time to see Voldemort in his fluffy pink pajamas in the Slytherin dorms, you know? And I feel like even though time travel opens up a load of possibilities, there are also other ways you can explore them, either with other characters, just setting it in other time periods, or just even having have someone come across a diary or a book from that time period, and then let that have an enchantment on it that you get, like almost like the diary, like Tom Riddle's diary in second year, where you're sort of sucked into that time period, and then that's not technically time travel because you're not belonging to that era.
Yeah, you're just using the information to potentially affect the future. So I guess I see that as being able to learn from the past to affect the future versus trying to fix the past, which I think is a lot of what the time travel is trying to go back and fix things or change things. And then romance happens because that's just how it works.
Oh, well, romance, it has to happen. Like it's fan fiction, so it's going to happen. Of course it will. But I mean, that's Rome. I just want to be clear. I'm not trashing romance. It's the fact that it happens is great. I'm not here to be chaste and go, oh, you're all so impure and filthy and you shouldn't be reading this smut, because that's not who I am. But so when romance happens, I'm all for it. It's just that sometimes the steps that people take to get there are a bit much. For me, just for me personally, not trying to hate on anyone that loves time travel. #Megs.
Yeah, absolutely. I just can't see how someone wouldn't like it. But that's like anything. Like we all have our ships that we're about and our tropes that we really, really like. And I love going back. And even if it's not just to fix things, but also, yes, to get certain characters together. And I want to get to know like Sirius and Remus and even James in a way that we don't. And then I've read some that even go, I mean, obviously further back from that, when Voldemort's in school, that's way back in the like 40s or, something like that.
Yeah.
And it's interesting to see how Hogwarts was at different times too. But that also equally goes into what you said of we're just reading a fic about that time with characters already in that time.
Yeah.
But we're sending people back so that ships can happen. That is literally what time travel is.
Yeah. It's the ship. It's the express ship pairing express. I don't know what it is I'm saying. It expedites shipping. So it's like, do you know those people that have Amazon Prime and they get everything delivered like a week ahead of everyone else?
Yeah, subscribe and save. Subscribe and save, I think.
Yeah, that's okay. If we're in America, subscribe and save. Okay. I don't know what I'm saying. So you know that thing where you can get like expedited shipping on certain items if you subscribe to a payment plan. That's what going back in time does, because it makes ships happen that wouldn't ordinarily be able to fit together.
Exactly. And that's, we want it. So we're like, how do we do it? Well, obviously they have to be in the same time, and if we don't want an age difference, then we got to send someone back. You know, that's just kind of how it is.
Exactly. And much as I'm here for the romance and I stan it, and when I read a good romance, even if there's time travel in it, I'm like, I don't care about the time travel because the romance is so good. I mean, if you haven't listened to our To Marry episodes, go and listen to them. They are
gosh.
So, I mean, that fic was a joy to talk about, and and that involved time travel. So my opinions aren't so inflexible that I'm like, no, I will never read it. Don't wreck me anything with time travel in it. I think the point is, if the romance is believable, if what you're going back in time to achieve ends up being realistic, I can forgive, like, oh, I have this enchanted penknife that will send me back 50 years.
Yes! So there we go. Challenge, listeners. Send us your time travel recs that you think Nathan will actually read and like.
Hey, maybe like future me can go back in time to this and then go, you know what, I did read these things and they are actually brilliant and my opinions have completely changed now.
Yes! Oh my,
Who
most
knows?
likely. I
Who
mean,
knows?
honestly, that's exactly why we're here, to figure out stuff that we had no idea was a thing or thought was really weird and whatever, and then we're like, okay, yeah, this is why, and it makes sense, and we're about this. This is just, it's just amazing what people can come up with. But yeah.
So I don't want to get like really deep and to a place where we get really serious all of a sudden. But you mentioned that like a lot of time travel happens because people want to go back to correct a mistake, right?
Yeah.
And I just thought it might be interesting to ask you, like, if you think of any of the like really big mistakes you've made in your life, like, I don't know about you, but a lot of the really big, like, horrible decisions I've made in my life have actually resulted in me getting here now.
Yes,
and I get to this place. I get to make this pod with you, and it like, I'm slightly scared by the fact that if I were able to go back in time and change one tiny thing, we may never have interacted, and this pod may never exist, for instance. So, what do you think about like using time travel as like a corrective measure?
Ah, man. I can say this. I wouldn't do it for myself because, like you said, I feel like a lot of things, however good or bad, that I experienced definitely made me who I am and gave me the life that I'm living and experiencing, and I feel very fortunate. And I don't know. But it's weird. Like, yeah, if you're like handed like, hey, you could go back in time. Like, oh God, what would I do with that? But then I could see some people. I think we also talked about this, and I can't remember if you were for or against it, but if people wanted to go back to change things politically. Like, I feel like some people would want to go back to like 2015 or 2016.
Yeah,
I can like that to do a little fixin', do some fixin'.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I feel like not to get scary and political, because you know we're not a political podcast.
Yes.
But I feel like political trends are going to happen regardless of the times they happen in. So while some things that we may regard as horrific and terrifying, may be changeable, I don't know if it's advisable, because at some point all of those tensions are just going to bubble up anyway, in my opinion. So I don't know if, like, there's an episode of Doctor Who, right, where they joke about killing Hitler. They joke about going back in time to kill Hitler. I think the episode might actually be called "Let's Kill Hitler." And it was one of the Matt Smith ones, and they take the idea that, okay, if you were presented with this opportunity to get rid of a big bad, let's say, because I think it's fair to say on balance that, you know, what happened during the that period of history was not good. If you had the opportunity to get rid of a big bad, would you do it? And I would be hesitant, not because of that you would get rid of the big bad. It's whatever other knock-on effects that could have that you can't foresee. Like, maybe if Hitler is killed, for instance, there is a bigger, more evil version of that just waiting to happen further down the line.
Waiting to happen.
Yeah, we can't know. So I think it boils down to, do you believe the changes that you could effect could happen in a vacuum where only that thing could change? Like, if you were guaranteed, like, you could change one thing and only that thing would change, then maybe my answer would be different. But who knows if that's even possible?
Yeah, but even if one change happens, it's still that one little thing that affects a bunch of other things. So I guess this is why in fanfic I don't care, because of course it's affecting not real people. If I'm thinking of like in real life and real lives and the effects that it could have, I mean, it's like, it's scary to think what any sort of change, we just don't know. I mean, it definitely is something like like fantasy, and like even like with Doctor Who, just the time, if it's just fiction, then whatever happens, we're like, oh, okay, we can make it end up being the way we want it to be and not mess everything up, versus in real life there's no way for us to know what happened.
Yeah, because we're living our lives, but in fiction we control the whole story, right?
Yes.
So we know, like with the Wizarding World, like all of these characters are fictional, the stories are fictional, what, you know, everything that happens to them, it's a giant sandbox. And like, that's a good point. I'd never thought of that before. It's like, maybe because it's one giant sandbox, we're happier to play with sand and throw it everywhere.
Yes. Yeah, no, exactly. Oh gosh, sand everywhere.
I don't like getting sand in awkward places.
No one does. No, it's the worst. Yeah, we live close to a beach, so sand just happens everywhere. We're like, we're not even close, but it's here.
See, time travel for me might be the metaphorical equivalent of sex on the beach. It sounds good, but the reality is just too painful.
I mean, yeah, you're not wrong. I guess to me, I just I don't know. I cannot change my perception of how much I love time travel as a use to get two people together that wouldn't otherwise be able to get together.
Nor would I want you to. And I love that you're so excited about it. Like, I never, like, that's part of one of the reasons I jumped on board the ship with you to do this podcast, is that I just love other people's enthusiasm for stuff. Even if it's something that I don't personally think that I get on board with, I just, enthusiasm is contagious. So I'm here for that love for that trope. And I was going to ask you, actually, do you have any favourite ships that are only made possible by time travel?
Well, obviously Snary. Obviously.
Yeah.
Because I love that go back and meet awkward Snape, and then the animosity between Harry and his dad and the Marauders, and realizing how much how like mean the Marauders are, just because that's, you know, obviously the dynamic for those. Harry going back for Tom to either change him or find a way to make him not evil. But also it's, I guess, but then there's like, we know how we're just told over and over again how hot Sirius is. So any opportunity for someone to go back and at least try and like woo Sirius, like, is really kind of interesting. Like, would he be interested in any like random person that would just like kind of show up with the goal to be?
That is a really good point, because I think the Sirius thing, I think, is an important one, because we know the resurrection stone is crap because it can bring people back, but not really, and they don't belong, and it's really sad. So we don't want that for Sirius. We're like, resurrection stone, no. But we also know that Sirius is dead. So one of the ways to get round a death and find out more about a character we love, and this is one of the reasons I think time travel works with Sirius, is because it fleshes out his character more. Like, how do you do that if not with time travel? I mean, of course you can have, if Sirius kept a diary, you can have Harry find it in Grimmauld Place, but it's not the same thing as hearing Sirius's words from his own mouth. You know, or feeling what Sirius feels, or thinking what he thinks. And, you know, Sirius is, I mean, we talked about this before, I think, that Sirius's character never really gets a chance to grow up because he spends so long in Azkaban, and he's so tormented and troubled by his time there, that he just stays static as the boy he was. And one of the things that potentially going back in time could fix is if somebody were in a position to rescue Sirius from the person he ends up becoming by going to Azkaban, then you could see him become the adult we never get to see, in a way.
Oh man. Now now I'm thinking, because of course Lupin is a werewolf, but it's James and Peter and Sirius that are animagi. Like, if he figures out, like, how is it? Okay, so what if he figures out, like, I don't know, I guess earlier on that he doesn't, because I know he stays in Azkaban for guilt. He feels like he deserves it. And it's not until he realizes that Peter is alive that he's like, oh shit, I'm coming for you and I'm going to figure out how to get out of here. How long has he known that he could leave? So what if someone went back, like you said, to save him and tell him this is how you can do it because you did do it this way, and get him out and learn what actually happened years before he even finds out. Like, if he's only in there for like 3 or 4 years, or even a year or so after he goes there, if Harry goes back or some other character goes back to essentially, I could see Harry doing that for sure, because one, especially immediately after losing him, I mean, gosh, Harry loses everybody, the poor guy. I mean, to have like found his family and then for Sirius to die, I could see Harry, if given the opportunity, like in fic, obviously, to want to go back and try and figure out a way to keep that from happening. And as a fix-it too, if they find out, if he goes back and tells Sirius what really happened, then they as a team could track down Peter Pettigrew and kill his ass.
Yeah.
And have him, like, you know, it's like, answer for your crimes. So that's, I haven't read anything like that, but that's interesting too, to think of someone going back to break Sirius out of Azkaban and how that would affect his character, or however it would go. Or even if Regulus was surprised still alive and goes and takes his brother out. There's just so many opportunities. But yeah, I think we all fall in love with Sirius to some extent. I mean, obviously there's his personality is, I guess, like, he's obviously very like unhappy and feels held back, and especially in book 5, there's so much angst everywhere. It's just angst for days.
Absolutely.
And you can get a taste of the happiness and laughter that he has somewhere in him that we see a little bit. Like, we only see a little bit, but he's really been brought to a point of been beat down a lot. So to see him being carefree and the best version of himself, and him getting out of his family experience of essentially leaving home and I think moving in with the Potters, or however he gets out of there, I think it would be fun to see how things could be different for Sirius, and whether that means he would survive. Obviously we can make the decision, oh, it didn't happen, he wasn't there, or it's fanfic, we can have anything happen. But yeah, I mean, there's so many opportunities to fix things to make a future that we want, like as a writer, and obviously a lot of readers enjoy, because we're controlling it. So it's like, oh, obviously if this happens, then this is what happens down the line. And because I know that's what I did with Thaw. I think you just started writing it, but there are a lot of things that I thought of, oh, if this happens here, this happening back when is the reason why that happened. And so I just think that's fun. I think it's the back and forth of being like, oh my gosh, no way, because this happened actually is why that, I love it. I love it so much.
So speaking as someone that's written time travel fiction, do you have an overarching plan for how it's going to fit together? Or do you write a chapter and then later figure out how events mesh together?
Okay, so I've only written one so far, and I'll be honest, like from the get-go, it was like my third fic to be writing, and ended up being a monster, like an ongoing multi-chapter that's still not close to being finished. But I obviously the goal for me was for Harry and Snape to be together and
Yeah.
be soulmates or whatever. And it's funny because as I was writing and as I go, I would think like, it would be cool if I did this, and I'd have to go back and read to see if what I've already said would even make sense or it would totally disrupt everything. So far, I don't know if it's just like my brain is just really nice to me, but I'll be like, oh, if I write this bit, does it make sense? And I go back, I was like, oh my gosh, Harry said this thing, or this thing was done, and therefore obviously perfectly affects that thing. So I've really lucked out. So no, I haven't really. I'm starting to plan now that I'm further along, and I'm thinking about where to take the story further and whether I wanted it to end or carry on a lot longer. So I think I have to start thinking more about that. But it was just funny in the beginning within the first, like, I guess probably like 10 chapters or so. I was just totally just off the cuff, just making up stuff and just being amazed that I could use something I wrote previously to defend it. And that was just, that was a treat.
Yeah. I think that works because you've got your end goal in mind. You know that you want Harry and Snape to get together, and you know it's going to happen. You've just got to figure out how, and you've got to try and not, like, I imagine you must have to at some point draw a timeline or a map to be like, okay, they were here then, so they can't be here when this happens, which is that. See,
I'm that's what I'm trying to figure out right now, because I did a bunch of the back and forth and there was time that passed, and now I have to be like, what time is it? Where are we? How do I move forward from this?
See, this is another reason that I tend to stay away from time travel, is that if you've ever tried writing it, it's a huge headache. And like to try and write it to make sense. Like it's different if you're writing crack fic and you just go back in time to be silly, because that's different and it's lovable in a whole other different way. But if you're writing it to have it make sense because you want a degree of believability to the story, or you need vulnerability or whatever, it becomes very difficult, particularly if the story is long, because you have more opportunities to cross back over yourself. It's like a lattice. And I would just rather save myself the headache and just set the whole like grenade off to one side and be like, no.
Well, that's probably why partially you and I really liked the Tamari fic, because the goal was go back and make Tom not bad. And ultimately they go back, and that's the goal, and they get there, and then they stay. And then we get to see how the future is different, but we're not worried about the back and forth of how, like, if someone goes back to try and change something and then goes to the future, how does that affect things, and where is everybody? At least going back and staying back. It's just, we're here now, and this is where things are, and you just kind of move forward. You don't have to really think about the timeline as much, as long as you know when you're landing in the past. So it's, you don't want to land in like March and then start talking Christmas.
Yeah. But with the Tamari thing, much as I loved it, part of my brain does go, okay, Harry travelled back in time to change Tom Riddle, who then, because he changes, like, technically Harry should not be born, but Harry's there.
Yes, yeah.
But that's a classic example where the story is so good that I suspend my disbelief because I get invested in the pairing. And this is, and if you're going to have time travel, write the pairing that it's so good that I forgive the time travel. This is my entire argument. I've said it before, but I'll say it again.
Well, hopefully I do that for you as you keep going with
Oh, by the way, in case you don't know and you're listening and you're like, what's Thor? So Thor stands for Time Heals All Wounds. It's a snarry fic written by the eponymous Megs herself. You can find it on AO3 and all wonderfully disreputable fanfic websites.
Yeah, I'll put a link. I'm really passionate about it, and it's definitely one of those things that it's because I love time travel, and the time travel I think is what pushed me to like Snary, because I read something similar to it. So then it was like going back to learn Snape's backstory to his vulnerability before he becomes the bitter, like angry man. Like
Yeah.
when he's younger, he obviously has like feelings and things like that. And but yeah, I love it. I love it so much. And yeah, I'm happy that people like it. Even people that don't like Snary have been like, I don't know what you did, and I'm kind of mad about it, but I actually like this.
But I think it brings up a really interesting point about shipping in general, which is that so for instance, when I started picturing Snarry, I pictured Book Snape and Book Harry, and that does not work. Like
No.
in my head, that doesn't work, because that both characters are too far gone. In some instances, Harry's too young. It's like my brain wants to switch off. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm not invested. But then what I think what you're saying about time travel, what that can facilitate is you can level out their ages, so they're the same age, and they're also ostensibly not the person yet that they are going to grow into. So it becomes this different thing where it's like, it's this character we know, but they get to develop in a different way. So it's not really that character. The character has the same name, and they have certain things in common. But the minute you start to change it, you also change the character that you'll end up with. So in the case of Harry and Snape, for example, you could end up reading a fic that you really get invested in, because the Harry and the version of Harry and the version of Snape you get are totally different from the characters in canon.
Yeah, and I love that, because we've mentioned this before, and obviously we're going to keep seeing it in future episodes, but when we pick a character like Harry or Hermione or like, or Snape, but we can see different dynamics of who that character is kind of written for that pairing, like how the dynamic between the two people define their personalities. Like obviously we have our ideas from canon of who each of them are, but then we can also bring in our headcanons and be like, okay, in this one, Harry's the, like the headstrong, out there making things happen. And then instead in another fic with a ship, he could just be like, I put all my energy into defeating the Dark Lord, and now I don't care about anything, and I need someone to come and help me care about life again. And it's just interesting to see how it's written differently, and it's believable. Like we can still be like, this is Harry, and then something different, yep, that's Harry too. I mean, it's really neat.
And it's so funny when you like the way you said, I need someone to come. I'm like, that is me reading fan fiction.
I mean, hey, needs him to come to make him feel alive again.
I mean, there are different ways to get relief from what is it?
Release?
Yeah, release. Listeners, why could I not think of that simple word? Like, I swear, I can feel bits of my brain falling away like a wet cake.
That is a visual. A wet cake?
A wet cake. I mean, I could not think of that word. Anyway, there are different forms of release. And I just feel like that's also why fanfic is so heavily, can heavily lean towards the romance and the smut as well, which I'm all about the smut as well. I'm all about anything when it's done well, and I feel like, even with time travel, when it's there and it's done well, I'm like, yes, I can appreciate this. But I feel like time travel fics, they just present for me like an extra hurdle to get over to invest. You know, and I don't want to struggle to invest. I want to be convinced. And if you're throwing up extra roadblocks for me, it's just going to make it harder. But anyway, that's what he said.
Yes. Oh gosh.
Welcome to Care of Magical Shippers After Dark.
After Dark? Oh gosh. Yeah. I mean, when when you get into time travel for romance, it's ultimately time travel for smut.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
It's like, oh, we want these two together, but we want it to be okay. Like, so
yeah.
we're gonna take them back in time and make it okay-ish.
But I think, like silly as that can be and sexy as it can be, I also think, like, I'm going to get fluffy for a minute. Like, it says something about human nature that we want to give these characters the space to be themselves.
Yeah.
Like, whenever you do that for a pairing that you like, for characters that you really get behind, literally and figuratively, you can... You give them, it's like a way of setting something you love free. Not to get all gushy about it, but like I feel like it's you're almost writing a love letter to those characters by doing that. And even if at times I'm like, ugh, time travel, I would rather leave it behind. If it's giving characters the space to experience who you think they really are, that says something about the state that we really like, that we aspire towards. No, I'll say that again. That says something about the sort of the life that we aspire to, because we also want freedom from the constraints that keep us from being ourselves. And if time travel can make it happen in fiction, then at least we can, when we read it, when we experience it as readers, we can also experience that joy. Wow, I rambled, but I think there's a point in there. Woo! Okay.
Okay, so this completely came out of nowhere, but to get away from romance out of the time travel trope. So what if, maybe there's a fic out there, so if you know one, listeners, please let me know. What if it's because Hermione obviously has used the time turner. She knows how it works. She knows the laws, the rules. What if at some point during either her Hogwarts career or afterwards, if she decides to use time travel to go back in time to help support, like, Goblin Rebellion or Elf Rights or something like that. Like, it's kind of like the political thing, but I could see her. Obviously, you can make decisions and promote things to change the future, but what if she wanted to go back and make things different earlier? I could see her doing that, possibly. So
but you see, this is why in my headcanon Hermione does not end up in the Ministry, because I feel like she'd be really disheartened by the procedural grandstanding that politics is. You know, there are so many roadblocks, and the system is so like, especially in the wizarding world where nobody gets a free trial. You just get sentenced and then that's it. You know.
Yes.
If it's that bad for humans, how bad must it be for magical creatures? So I feel like she would get really dejected. So I could see her in a moment of desperation turning to time travel. And if anybody is smart enough to figure it out, it is Hermione.
Yes, because I mean, from the get-go, she's like, we can't be seen. We can't do more than, she knows the effects that it could have. I don't know. I mean, maybe she wouldn't, because she wouldn't want to risk it, but I'm sure it's something that she could and would do, and if she did, she'd find a way to make it be interesting.
The thing about Hermione that I love, that, even when she's at her most uppity and arguably at her most misguided, when she's judging Harry and Ron, most of the time they deserve to be judged. But like, sometimes she gets the wrong end of the stick. But even when she's at her most uppity, the thing that redeems Hermione for me is that she's such a moral character. Everything comes through her moral center. She's always thinking about other things than herself. You know, we see this when she helps Hagrid with Buckbeak's trial. You know, she helps him prepare, and I feel like she'd probably object to time travel morally, but she knows she could do it.
Yeah.
And that in itself would make a really interesting fic. Like how, like, someone possessed of great power exercises as much caution as they do power. It's like the Dumbledore thing. Like, he's the most powerful wizard of his age, but the most noble thing about him, arguably, to whatever degree, is his restraint.
Yeah.
And like, we could easily see that with Hermione. So I just wanted to ask you about, because I know we said we would mention Cursed Child.
Yeah.
In your opinion, and you know, just in your opinion, is it the time travel that makes Cursed Child bad, or was Cursed Child already cursed and the time travel just made it worse?
I don't know. I probably because overall it just feels like it's dark and a downer most of the time. Like even just Albus's like angst and conflict with Harry because he doesn't, you know, like he doesn't like that he's Harry's son and he's in Slytherin, and the whole time Scorpius is just trying to be super nice and sweet and Albus is just a little shit, and then they're, you know, trying to fix things, and then quote unquote, you know, Bellatrix and Voldemort's child gets involved. I don't, and it's been a while. Like I remember reading it like when it first came out, and wasn't there something like trying to like so Cedric doesn't die, or I mean, it was going back in time to save Cedric's life was the broad plan, which you know, of all the things that you could go back in time to do, I'm not saying that that's not a noble goal, but like if you're going back in time to help your dad, essentially, is that the first thing you'd think of? Right.
So that's my first thing with it. But my second big problem with Cursed Child isn't even to do with the time travel. It's what causes the time travel to happen in the first place, which is that nobody communicates with each other. Everybody just has these private little thoughts that go nowhere, and everything is like, I mean, there's tension, and there's tension that drives drama forward, but everything just sort of simmers, and so that even when you get the resolution, or the resolutions, depending on, you know, we see the different effects that the changes in the timeline have. Even when you get the resolutions, they're not satisfactory because all of this could just have been averted if the characters behaved more like the people that we've grown to know them to be. Because if there's one thing Harry wouldn't be, it's this closed off, insular, insecure guy. I mean, we know that he's been closed off and insecure, but ultimately what he does is talks to people. That's how he gets through his stuff. And I feel like he spends Cursed Child being useless. Just being, not even being Harry and being useless, because being Harry and being useless is sort of being oblivious. But he's not being oblivious and sweet. He's just being there. And so I don't want to have this be a whole thing about Cursed Child, but I did want to bring it up because I think it's useful when you talk about time travel to bring up those instances where it just doesn't work. And it's interesting with Cursed Child because it's not that the time, like, yes, the time travel is broken and that whole system in and of itself just doesn't work. But the reason really why the concept doesn't work full stop isn't even because of the time travel. It's because of the out of character ways the characters behave to make the time travel happen.
Yep. Cursed Child is fan fiction.
But I almost feel like to call it fan fiction is an insult to fan fiction. That's true. Because fan fiction knows what it is. It's, you know, we write fan fiction for an audience that loves it. You know, it's golden, it's great, we love it. But Cursed Child pretends to be canon, and it tries to sort of get at the best of both worlds. And really, we don't need a trolley witch that's also the Terminator. We don't need hasta la vista, students. It's not something that I want to go back and find out more about.
It's a thing. It happened, and now we have fan fiction to enjoy time travel to a better degree.
But yeah, if you know a time travel fic and you think, oh, Nathan's actually really going to love this because everything that happens in it, the pairing is just so perfect, and if the way events transpire is so perfect, like, send me that fic, because there's nothing so powerful really, as we saw in Tamari, as the ability to change someone's mind about something.
Yes.
And and part of this whole podcast is, part of our ethos is, keep an open mind even about those things that you think are, off limits to you at the moment. So I challenge you, listeners, to send me those golden time travel fics, please.
And I can't wait to read them either. We know I'll like them, so it's just... But I can't wait to talk about them with Nathan and have him be excited, because that's just going to be fantastic.
Yeah, just send them to us both, and then, knock our heads together until we read them, and then talk about them to you.
So you can send them, find us on social or directly to our email, especially if they're long links and stuff, at careofmagicalshippers@gmail. That would be a perfect place to send all your recs.
Sorry, careofmagicalshippers@gmail.com.
.com, yes.
Yeah. Don't forget the .com. Yeah.
Yes, sorry. I just, it's just assumed that everyone knows what Gmail is.
Oh yeah, but it could have, maybe the listeners don't know if we're doing this out the UK or anyway. Right, doesn't matter.
That's true.
It's .com now. It's fine.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
careofmagicalshippers@gmail.com.
And then, of course, we also have Care of Magical Ship Pod. No, did I get that wrong? It's just Magical Ship Pod. Okay. So we also have Magical Ship Pod on Twitter and Instagram. I almost got that right. So look how confident I am. It's not like we've been doing this since April. Do you know what? Come and visit us on our Discord, and you can, I still haven't figured out all the channels, but you know what? Come and find me there, grab me by the wrist and go, hey, I can show you through the socials that you
I can lead you through your socials.
Yeah. I still haven't figured it out. It's like a big labyrinth. But you know what? The Discord is so much fun. We do what are we calling the madness, the mayhem?
Ministry mayhem.
Oh yes,
right.
So the Discord is so much fun. We do Ministry mayhem, where we write our own crack fics, and you should come and join us for those, because they are incredible.
Oh gosh, so good.
So good, and you can have all your opinions on every single fic heard if you want them. You can rec us stuff. You can talk with other like-minded shippers about everything that you love about a certain ship.
Ships and characters and tropes and kinks and literally anything regarding the fanfic HP fandomness is in that server. So you can find the invite link on our Tumblr. I think it's the pin post. Otherwise, I can put it in the episode description. But it's the Magical Shippers R&D, because it's technically our research and development Discord, but it has a lot of community focused stuff, like hangouts to discuss the ships before we even record, so we can get your point of view. So we're not just saying, obviously we have opinions and things like that, but things that we wouldn't have thought of, we'd love to hear from other people. You can drop your recs in there, find new fics that you didn't know existed. It's just a fun community of positivity and ship and let ship and all of that. We don't want anyone to feel like anything they read or write is inferior or too cursed,
Yeah.
ultimately.
Exactly. There's no hierarchy. We're all equally part of the fanfic sensation that's sweeping the International Wizarding Confederation. So come join us. I will ship that until we get it printed on t-shirts. Like
Perfect.
I will. Yeah. As well as that, we should probably do a little bit of housekeeping because you're our Patreon listeners. Speaking of kinks that Meg mentioned earlier, we plan on doing like extra content for the Patreon. Some of it might be considered too spicy for our regular regular broadcasts. So we were thinking about like doing little mini episodes about particular kinks and things as well on our Patreon, and we'd love to make those for you because we're both all about smut as well.
Shameless smut shippers.
There's no such thing as smut shaming.
Nope. Yep, absolutely not. Yep. Smut celebrating.
Yes, we're smutting. That doesn't work. Smitten with smut.
Smutton.
But it just sounds like mutton with an S. It doesn't sound like a thing. I tried to make a thing and it didn't work. Okay. Well, anyway, we would love to be. No, let's try that again. My tired brain is tired.
Yeah.
The upthrust of this is that we plan on making a lot more content for you, and that we know that your ear holes will enjoy, and come and listen to that on Patreon. We're so glad to have you here. Your support means the world to us. We love you all so much. We're so grateful, and tune in next time for more mirth, mayhem, and mischief.
Yes, exactly. So thanks for everything, and we will, you'll hear from us pretty soon, whether it's on, on your podcast app or in here. So